Hello everyone, my name is Sounds, and today I just want to show you how I made this Formant filter inside of Snap Heap. So yeah, I was just messing around and just decided to do some sound design. I thought it'd be kind of fun to show you guys what I came up with today. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so I got my Snap Heap here inside of Faceplant, and also got my MIDI clip. I'm going to go ahead and set it to F0, and there's no sound because I don't have a generator. So for the generator part, I'm just going to add an analog. And that's pretty much it. I'm actually going to turn this into the square wave. I like the way that sounds better. Let's get into the main part of the preset. The first thing that I did was added a gain snap in and right click, hit -2. Just do a little bit of gain reduction. Okay, so for the next effect, I added a filter. This is what's going to be making the resonant noise for the Formant filter. I'm going to go ahead and make it a peak filter. I'm going to turn up the Q, turn the gain up almost all the way, so I'm going to right click and hit 10. And then I'm going to right click on the cutoff and hit 3000. And I'm also going to automate this with macro 1. I'm going to right click on the cutoff again, and for the bottom number here, I'm going to right click and hit 1231 or 230, either or it works. And it should sound like this. Oops, let me turn up the gain a little bit. Alright, perfect. Okay, and I'm also going to add another filter, do another peak filter. Going to do the same thing, turn up the Q, and right click on the gain, hit 10. And then for the cutoff, I'm going to right click and set it to 450 Hertz. Then I'm also going to modulate the cutoff. So I'm going to hit plus over here on the macro knob, right click, and then for the bottom number, I'm going to right click and hit 1091. And it should sound like this. Alright, perfect. So that's pretty much like the main part of it, but I went ahead and added some more processing. Alright, so I added a multipass as well, and in the original preset, I did some modulation with the split frequency bands here, but I later realized it's not really necessary. So what we're going to do is just modulate the mix inside of this multipass, and then we're going to go ahead and open up the multipass, turn up our macro knob all the way. And then I'm just going to look at where the resonant frequencies are peaking at. I'm going to bring the split 2 frequency band closer to those frequencies. And I'm going to do the same thing with the split 3 frequency band. Then I'm going to add a dynamics. We're going to do upwards compression. Alright, so I'm going to see where my signal's at. So I'm going to bring the low threshold around like -16. And then for the ratio, I'm going to right click and click 2. And then I'm going to also turn down the release. All this is doing is just bringing out those frequencies a little bit more with the dynamics snap in. So now I'm going to turn down this macro knob inside of our snap heap, and I'm going to go ahead and modulate the mix. So I'm going to turn this down, hit the plus here, and modulate all the way up. And so it should sound like this. Alright, so I'm also going to add a disperser as well. I added 2 of these just to smear the sound a little bit more. I just like the way that it sounded. So for the frequency here, I'm going to right click and hit, I think, somewhere around 1500. I turn the amount to 13, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn up the pinch probably to around like 2. That's pretty good. And so it sounds like this. And I'm looking back at the frequency spectrum here on the disperser. And I want this frequency peak to be closer to where those resonating frequencies are at. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it, and then just move the second one down a little bit as well. And so it kind of adds this like squishy sound effect that I really enjoyed. And then I'm also going to modulate the pinch for the dispersers. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus here on the macro knob, and turn this down a little bit. Alright, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to do the same thing for the second disperser. Just turn it down a little bit. Alright, that's too much, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it up a little bit on the modulation here. It's around like -8.3, it looks like. And I like the way that sounds. Alright, so that is just the effects section. So I'm going to grab a new group and call this effects. And then just drag and drop every snap in that we used here in the first lane into the effects group. Okay, now we're going to do some post-processing. So I'm going to add a new group, and just call this post-processing. First thing that I added was a distortion. I turned it to saturate. I'm going to turn the drive up, I think close to around like 6. And I'm going to turn down the mix to a very little percentage here. I don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to right click and hit like 5%. Alright, and that is perfect. And I also added a 3-band EQ, and what I did here was lowered the lows as we turn up the macro knob. So I'm going to go ahead and modulate that. Right click on the low and do it by -2, I think it was. And so it should sound like this. Alright, actually I'm going to go ahead and right click and hit -4. So yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit of gain reduction to the low end. And then the last thing that I did was just grabbed a limiter, and that's pretty much it. I just left that alone. I didn't really do too much with that. I'm gonna go ahead and close that and close this. And that is your Formant filter. Alright, and so that's pretty much the preset for the Formant filter. I'm going to go ahead and leave this preset that I made with the Formant filter available to download for free. It's going to be on my blog post. I'm also going to be releasing a little sample pack that I made with the preset, and that's also going to be available in the blog post for free. So if you guys want to go ahead and download that, you can. So yeah, here's a little snippet of what those samples sound like. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Adios.